Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
New information tonight surrounding a crash involving U.S. Attorney Drew Wrigley. The other person involved is accusing Wrigley of hit and run.
Wrigley flatly denies the allegation, which came to light on social media. Valley News Team's Callie Hubbard spoke with Wrigley today and explains both sides. Callie?
Mike, Andrea, Brittany Berger took to Facebook saying the two were traveling westbound on University last Thursday when Wrigley sideswiped her car after turning left onto University Drive. Berger says when the two spoke, he refused every attempt she made to get proper authority involved and he left. I spoke with Drew Wrigley twice today about the crash. He says it happened, but not the way she describes it. He says he was leaving work between 9:30 and 9:45 Thursday night. The two collided at an intersection and exchanged contact information for about 30 minutes. He says they agreed that because the cost of damages was probably under $1,000, police did not need to get involved. So Wrigley says he drove away. It wasn't until then the woman called police. Tonight, police took to Facebook, posted that the woman did not want to file an incident report after the crash and that one party, presumably Berger, wants to do so now. Wrigley says he's tried reaching out to Berger multiple times, but she hasn't responded. We also tried contacting her several times with no luck. Fargo police say the crash remains under investigation. Mike, Andrea?
All right, thank you, Callie. We contacted Birch Burdick, the Cass County State's attorney, whose office could decide to pursue a hit-and-run charge. He told us he knew nothing about the case.
A historic bridge in Grand Forks County has collapsed, and officials say it will cost nearly $1 million to fix it. The Grand Forks County Sheriff says this afternoon a man driving a Peterbilt truck tractor pulling a trailer loaded with dry beans was heading west on 3rd Avenue, southwest of Northwood. Officials say the truck went over a restricted weight bridge over the Goose River. The bridge collapsed and the trailer got stuck. The bridge was built in 1906 and listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The driver was not injured. A looming threat for a college student heading back to school very soon. Scammers are targeting them because they think they're easy prey.
Tonight, Valley News Team's Katie Opperly has what can be done to stay safe.
When you get into college, you're not really thinking about, oh, I need to protect my social security number. You're worried about, oh, all these classes, you're constantly studying.
And that's what makes college students the perfect target for identity theft. From using public Wi-Fi to applying to internships, Consumer Reports says there are people out there looking to prey on eager students that may not know any better. Morella says he's experienced this firsthand through phone calls and emails.
It just asks if you want an internship with this guy who's currently a professor that's abroad, and he needs you to do some easy office work for $5,000 for the summer.
But then it asks for your personal information. Morella says it's easy for students to get swept up in the moment and not think about how it could impact your security. Abby Thill says she's not surprised either that college students are being targeted.
Sometimes taking a second to pause and ask why are they asking for that information is not always something that folks do, especially if you're not trained to be thoughtful in that.
But that's exactly what Jeremy Straub from NDSU's computer science program wants students to do. Start asking questions when people or websites ask for your information.
Do I really need to fill this out? Why do I need to fill this out? And who am I giving it to?
He says that before college students head off to school, parents need to sit down and talk with them about this threat.
When your child's getting old enough that they need to know their social security number or other critical identifying information, driver's license number, and so forth, you should make it very clear when they can use that information and when they need to simply check with you before using it.
Officials say as fall begins to creep closer, now is the time to start thinking about cyber safety. In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
For more tips on how to protect your identity or to check out some of NDSU's resources for cybersecurity, go to our website, valleynewslive.com.
2 men are accused of assaulting a housekeeper at a Bismarck hotel on Saturday morning. Bismarck officers say the victim was found bruised and bloodied. The victim told police he didn't know who the 2 men were, and officers say one of the suspects put his hands around the victim's neck and slammed him against a wall. Police say no arrests have been made, and the 2 suspects left on motorcycles 7 minutes after entering the hotel.
A new North Dakota law about open records is receiving public scrutiny, and now there's a citizens group attempting to stop it from going into effect on August 1st. The law would exempt communication between lawmakers and public employees from open records laws. Proponents of the law say this law protects constituents from having their private concerns become public. Opponents of the bill say it would allow lawmakers to hide inside communication.
That one really needs to get referred so we can see what they're communicating about misappropriating money. Open records is a secured right by the Constitution. I mean, that's how big of a deal this is.
The petition to halt the law requires 13,000 signatures. The deadline to reach the Secretary of State's office is tomorrow.
Former Democratic U.S. Senator Al Franken says he absolutely regrets resigning from the Senate after several women accused him of unwanted kissing or touching. In a recently published article, 7 current or former senators say they regret calling for Franken's resignation in December of 2017. Franken resigned his seat after several women accused him of sexual harassment. He said at the time that the allegations were false, and he repeats that in the New Yorker article. Franken was replaced in the Senate by Tina Smith.
Minnesota's Attorney General and Public Safety Commissioner are putting together a working group on police-involved deadly force encounters. Members of the working group will gather feedback from Minnesotans on a number of issues, including prevention and training, policy, legal implications, investigation, and oversight and accountability. There will be 3 hearings taking place over the next 3 months.
Over 150 million people were affected by the Equifax breach in 2017 when private information was leaked. Now the company is paying the federal government $700 million, as well as the states involved.
Jordan Verdadero tells us how North Dakotans can be affected.
Social security numbers, driver's licenses, addresses, and more. Andrea Pittman says she usually does credit checks directly through her bank.
I don't tend to put my information online.
The director of Consumer Protection says this does not mean any or all of these people suffered any actual consequences or harm as a result of the breach. However, information for all of these people was released or compromised.
No other businesses collect the amount of critical personal and financial information as credit reporting agencies, and it is particularly alarming because we as consumers do not have any real choice in its collection and use of our personal, confidential, and financial information.
He says this breach affects people because it also harms the financial reputation of individuals.
This kind of settlement sends a strong message and places a larger obligation on these credit reporting agencies and other businesses to take extra steps to avoid the breach.
Pittman says she avoids using third parties when it comes to her personal information.
Just do a little research and know what they're doing, I guess.
Grossman says by placing a security freeze on your credit reporting file, you can prevent a breach from happening.
And then what that does is it freezes anybody's unauthorized access to your account.
Grossman says the state will be getting $1 million from the settlement that will go towards consumer protection.
How else can someone prevent their information from being leaked if they don't want to put a freeze on their account? Grossman says that the freeze doesn't affect your credit score. But another way would be lessening the amount of information you give over the phone and online.
More dogs are behind bars these days, at least in Fargo, according to the Pound and One Shelter. With many fences still down from the late June storm, we asked local homeowners if it's harder to keep their pets in check. Heather Clyde with Homeward Animal Shelter tells us the main reason for pets on the loose is owners keeping them off leash. But dogs, especially the escape artist type, can sneak out, so extra precautions are needed to keep them in.
And my own fence went down and I had a temporary fence up, but I also put my dog on a tie out. So if people aren't doing that, yeah, they're definitely going to get loose and they're going to be checking out the neighborhood.
A Fargo fence company tells us it received hundreds of calls following the late June storm.
We're drawing closer to what may be the most anticipated testimony on Capitol Hill in a decade. Millions will be glued to their screens when former special counsel Robert Muller appears on Wednesday.
And that may or may not include President Donald Trump. Kirsten Welker is at the White House with more.
Tonight, less than 48 hours before Robert Mueller's highly anticipated testimony, the president, who said he won't watch, now signaling he might tune in.
Mr. President, are you worried about Wednesday?
No, I'm not going to be watching. Probably, maybe I'll see a little bit of it. I'm not going to be watching Mueller because you can't take all those bites out of the apple. We had a total no collusion finding. The Democrats were devastated by it. They went crazy. They've gone off the deep end.
Mueller, who has insisted he will not say anything that is not already in his report, will spend 5 hours in front of 2 House committees, subpoenaed by Democrats who are still divided over impeachment. Now, some top Democrats hope Americans will take a second look.
The report presents very substantial evidence that the president is guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors, and we have to or let Mueller present those facts to the American people.
But tonight, the president touting last week's vote
Without objection.
when a majority of Democrats killed an impeachment resolution.
They tried an impeachment vote, and they got slaughtered last week. They got absolutely slaughtered. I have a lot of respect for the Democrats because most of them voted against impeachment last week. And I have a lot of respect for those Democrats that did that because they're doing the right thing for the country.
Mueller will appear before the Intelligence Committee for 2 hours tomorrow and the Judiciary Committee for 3 hours. His appearance before the Judiciary Committee will begin at 7:30 a.m. and the Intelligence Committee beginning at 11 a.m.
We're all looking for ways to cool off during the dog days of summer. It's even hot in Alaska. Just ask this moose. Spotted enjoying a splash from a lawn sprinkler in Anchorage. Neighbors say he's been hanging out all summer, resting under trees and in moss beds.
Valley News Live 10 at 10 continues with no wait weather.
And that moose can cool off wherever that moose wants to cool off. That's what I say. Hey, I've got my sprinkler out here too as we take a look at the Valley Skycam. We just enjoyed a gorgeous sunset after a magnificent Monday. Temperatures cooled off. The humidity dropped down as well as we still have 71 degrees, almost perfect out there with light and variable winds across the valley at this hour. And look at this, low 60s already in Valley City and in Cavalier. Grand Forks, you're at 65. Gwinner, 66. Lakes Country, we have mid-60s and 60 refreshing degrees in Bemidji, and look at Wadena in the 50s already. A few showers moving through the Lake of the Woods area, mainly International Falls with a few rumbles of thunder. This activity as the sun setting really diminishing. That's it for our area. We have to look all the way to the Rocky Mountain West before we see some showers and storms. So it looks like a quiet night tonight as we head to bed, and 50s will be a thing for many of us. And because we cool off, any areas that have gotten some abundant recent rainfall could have some patchy areas of fog first thing in the morning. I don't think it will be widespread, but don't be surprised as we start our day in the 50s. We'll see temperatures climbing into those 70s for your lunch hour. Absolutely wonderful conditions as we head into your afternoon. Perfect for a walk, a picnic, maybe some recess if you can talk the boss into it. Then in the afternoon, we'll see the heat where you see these deep red colors here right in the Red River Valley, Fargo to Grand Forks. Those will be the warmest areas, but nothing too hot, either at or just below seasonal averages. So we go through our afternoon and into the evening. Things look mighty quiet as well. So your planner in Fargo looks like this, 60 as you're heading out the door. Watch out for patchy fog in places. And then by the midday hour, mid-70s and absolutely gorgeous. A few more clouds in your afternoon, temperatures in the 80s, and they'll stay there for your evening as well if you have outdoor plans for your Tuesday night. Your hometown forecast, Oaks 78, 81 in Detroit Lakes. We'll have 78 in the Detroit Lakes area with Wadena at 77. Bemidji will be 80 for your afternoon. Weather like this makes me want to seek out sites like this, and Barb captured this beauty at Jewett Lake. Maybe you'll have a chance to get out and enjoy some lakes with these very comfortable temperatures. We will warm up. Wednesday, 85, still looks dry. Thursday looks hot. There'll be a chance of some spotty to scattered showers or thunderstorms. Then Friday and Saturday look hot and dry as well. How about on Sunday? A cool front moves through, bringing us back into the 70s. We start next week, much like we did this one, with temperatures closer to 80 degrees and dry. So Overall, the last 2.5 weeks have been rough and tumble. They've been hot, they've been humid, and this refreshing change lasts for a little while.
Way better.
Yeah.
Don't forget to shut your sprinkler off. Your water bill is going to be.
Yeah, I really need to get
right.
after that.
And you're moving it all over the valley.
You didn't tell the boss I left that on, right?
No,
You're
no.
to blame for the mosquitoes.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Someone's
I'll
got
go
to
turn
be
it
to
off
blame.
now.
Later on Valley News Live at 10, the fight against the vaping epidemic continues. How the FDA plans to keep tackling the issue. Next.